Hi, I'm Paul Dayball from Niagara College in Welland, Ontario, Canada. And today I'm going to show how to produce this simple page, this page right here, and we're going to do it using InDesign Creative Cloud. Now, all the instructions come with it, and this file is available on the Blackboard site and also all of the files that go with it. So this is a very basic page, and it's not really well designed because it's really used for teaching purposes. I fully understand that you really wouldn't have different size fonts, and definitely wouldn't stretch this type, and I wouldn't put a screen background here. But I think the page is good for teaching purposes, and it will show a number of different techniques used within InDesign. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to go under here and I'm going to say new document, and it brings up the new document piece. The only thing we have to change here is it's going to be 2 columns, the layout, and we're going to put in a 1/4 inch gutter. I'm just going to put 0.25 and then put a double quote mark, and the double quote mark indicates that it's in inches. And when I hit tab here, when it goes down, you'll see that it automatically converted that to 1p6. Now I can put 0.5 inches here. But that is 3p0 because it's 6 picas to the inch. So I think we're all set up there. U.S. letter, and those are the sizes. That's the number of picas, and I think we're set. All right, so here we go. There's the page all set up. The first thing we're going to do is create a graphics box up in the corner using the box with the X in it. I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to make it any size. It doesn't really matter as long as it fits on those 2 lines. We're also going to change this to inches because up here we're still in picas and stuff, so we're going to change to inches. So I'm just going to double click there and I'm going to say inches. Okay. We can check that our piece is right by clicking in the upper corner here in the reference point. And you can see that that says 0.5, and that was our margin, so that's definitely sitting on the line. I definitely want the reference point up in the corner so that when I size things, it sizes leaving this point static and it sizes towards the bottom right. It says that this box is supposed to be 3 inches wide by 2.75 in height, and that goes in here on the width and height. Oh, I got the box. Next, I'm going to put in a picture into the box. I'm going to go under here, and it says place, and you notice that it's Command D, so you could just hit Command D. I'll just go ahead and select place so you can see it. I put the files here on the desktop. So the one that I'm looking for is the landing. That's that one right there. I'll put it in alphabetic order so it makes sense. Landing. And there it is in the frame. Now the frame, importantly, that the frame, if I now move this, don't touch the center, but if I move this where I have the blue frame, you'll notice that it moves the picture and the actual content. More importantly, if I happen to size this right now to 80%, you will see that when I hit tab here, you'll see that the graphics box and the content size together. See that? I'll go back. What we really want to do is get the inside. So if I click and hold here, you're now seeing that there is the rest of the picture. I'm going to go up with the brown line. I'm going to go up and say 80%. And I'll click and drag that down to here. There. Next, I'm going to do a text box. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to draw a text box of any size. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to go to the first tool so that I have the handles on there. And this box is supposed to be 4.5 by 2.75 in the width and height up here in the corner. And then I'll move that in. And you notice I'm moving it somewhere near the side here, but don't touch the edges. You don't really need to touch the edges, and definitely don't touch the handles. It's going to resize it. Now, with the first tool selected and everything, I could go to the type tool, but in all actuality, all I need to do is double click. I'm going to type in all right, type that in. Don't hit return after that. You never use extra returns or spaces or anything like that. And select all this. Command A is probably the best way to do it. Command A for select all. I'm going to go ahead and set the type. The type in this box is Cambria bold. So there's my type. And it is 65 points on 53 points of leading. So with that type selected, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go 65 on 53. Now the bar up here changes to whatever you're working on. So if you're working on type at that moment, this is a type bar. If you happen to be working on the actual frame, the frame will be about the object. So it'll all be about the object. Okay, type is in there. The next thing I'm going to do is do a bit of an indent. So I do an indent from the left hand side. That's right here, and that's 0.25. And because I want it to go down a bit, there's a couple ways to do it. I could do a vertical centering. I'm just going to baseline shift it down, and that is -16 here for the baseline shift. The reason I know is we've worked these out before, so that it's quick and easy for you. Next, I'm going to click on this one. Holding down my shift key, I'm going to click on this one also. And that way I'm going to have both selected, and then I'll put a 1-point frame around them. I could do them one at a time, but that was easier. Now to check how I'm doing, I'm going to click out in the blank area somewhere, and I'm going to hit W, and that's going to show me that that's how it looks at this moment. At this point, you might want to save your file. Make sure you save it to a good location, and make sure you keep saving all the way through. You'd want to save your file and make sure you keep saving all the way through. Next, I'm going to put in this text box here. I'll just make it any size. Now, it says to make it one column. This is one column. One column goes from this line right there all the way to this line. That's one column. If I said 2 column, it would be here. There's no measurement for this. There's no way to put it in. You just have to know that this is 1 column of your layout. This is 2 column. Don't go across here because that's 1 column plus a gutter. The gutter is the space down the center. So that's 1 column. I'm going to double click in there and type in. I'm going to do, remember, I don't hit return at the end. I'm going to do select all, Command A, select all. I'm going to go ahead and set the type up. Type I'm using is Myriad Pro, and I'm using a semi-bold. So I have to scroll down here a bit. That's semi-bold right there. The size here is 27 on 26 points of leading. I'm also going to go over here and I'm going to center. Now it doesn't look right shape, so I'm going to go here, select that, and hit return. Now the shape is correct, so it gives a bit of a shape to it, so that when I put the type underneath, it makes sense. I click on the box and I make the box the right size. That's 0.75 in height. It's down a little too much. I'm going to just move it up slightly. Making sure that I still touch the columns. The other way to do that is to use the arrows on your keyboard, the up, down, and left, right arrows. I use up and down until I get it exactly where I want it to be. Now to duplicate this box across to the next one, I'm going to hold down the Shift and the Option key on the keyboard. Shift and Option. Shift gives you a constrained movement, so it goes straight across, and Option will duplicate it. So if I hold the 2 down, click on this box, and go straight sideways, make sure I let go of the mouse button first, it will duplicate. I'll do the movement again. Hold down Shift and Option, and then I move straight across, let go of the mouse first, and it'll duplicate. I'm going to type in my next headline. I'm going to select all. I'm going to go ahead and set this type. This type is Bembo, and it is Bembo semi-bold, 28 points in size. We don't have to worry about the leading here because there's only one line, so it's going to be whatever that is. The leading only works between two lines. Now I'm going to increase the height of the type, stretch the type up to 200%. Gives you that effect. The problem is it now goes outside of the box. So with that select, and if you'll notice, I never deselect. Once I start working with type, I rarely deselect because I don't really need to. Okay. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put in minus 22. That's going to baseline shift it down into the box. So that's all done. All right, text box next. I'm going to draw a text box here. Go to the first tool. I'm going to pull it to this line. I'm going to pull it across to here. Pull it across. And you'll notice that I use the center handles. And I just find it fast and easy, and I get it accurate. In that box, I'm going to place text. Because I'm kind of slow at typing. I'd be here all day typing all this in. I'm going to blow this area up. You'll notice that these two have indents, and you often want to look at your type before you start working. You say, why is that indented? Well, I'm going to find out by saying show hidden characters. And all of a sudden we can see that there are tab characters in here that have been put in before, and you want to get rid of those. You want to get rid of the tab characters. But it's just an exercise in seeing that, I need to figure out what's going on. I'm also a little tight up here, so I'm just going to pull this down a little bit like that. All right, Command A, select all the type, and we're going to go ahead and make that type the correct type. So it's Myriad Pro, and it is regular type, 14 points in size on 16 points of leading, and that's all done up here. Great. We need a first line indent. First line indent is right there. First line indent of 0.25. And then I don't have to put the inch mark because since I'm already in inches, it automatically defaults to that measurement system. So there we go. We got some indents. Okay, next. I'm going to put some a picture in here. So I'm going to draw a box up partway on here, and I'm going to get the box to the right size. The box is 1.7 by 2 inches. And in that box, my first tool selected, I'm going to go Command D or place, right there. I'm going to place in the train. And there's the train. Oh, way too big. Remember, if we were to size this to the size it's supposed to be at 56% right now, we would be sizing the frame and the content. We only want the content. And if we click here, you'll see that big brown. If I click and hold, then I see all of it, and I can say, oh, yep, that the brown line is the content. I'm going to do that to 56. Hit tab, and 56 will go into both these because this is linked, because it's constrained to proportional scaling. I'm going to click hold for a second and then drag that back into the box. Click and hold is important. If you click and hold for 2 seconds, then start moving, you'll see things moving. Okay, right now, and I'm going to get the first one. I'm going to put it on here just to show it to you. Right now, the type is right underneath this. Like this is not good, right? Don't want the type under. But I'd like to get a wrap around so that it wraps around the picture properly. It would look nice that way. The first thing I need to do is get a clipping path, and normally we draw them in Photoshop, but when you get a picture like this where it's got a white background, you can kind of do a little bit of a cheat here and have the computer do it for you, have InDesign do a clipping path. So I'm going to, with that picture selected, I'm going to go to clipping path and then go to options. So we can see it happening. I'm going to turn on the preview here. I'm going to say detect the edge, and you'll see that it draws this brown line around right around the picture now. It's still over top of the type, but at least we now have a clipping path on it. And I'm going to say OK. The next thing we need to do is actually use a text wrap. So we're going to Window, and I can say text wrap. I'll put it into my sidebar so that I can use it from here. What we're going to do is we're going to use this one, which is wrap around the object shape, because the object shape is the clipping path. And you see it says contour the object same as clipping, which we designed. I'm going to say go to the right hand side because sometimes I'll show it to you. I'll try to show you the mistake happening. If I were to move this box, I'm going to click out and click back in. If I were to move this box up and down or over a little bit, you can see that I've got type coming in on the other side over here on the left. I'm going to say only go to the right, and then that will get rid of that problem for me, and I won't have to worry about that happening. So I'm just going to move this down to where it kind of looks nice. Now it's a little close though. You see how it's a little close to the edge here? This right here is all together now because you're on a clipping path. But if you just click up on this, this is an offset or an outset, I believe it is. You can see that it's pushing it away from the edge. And now I can move it down and make it look nice. There we go. All right, let's see. How are we doing? Looks pretty good so far. Need to draw a frame on the other side, a text frame. And I'll show you a little trick here. If I pull this out, you see, I can, if I was off a little bit, I could line that up and match that with that and then pull it back to there. Don't go through the gutter. Make sure you go from here, the other side of the gutter to here. That's the one column. Now I'm going to place Command D. I'm going to place in text number 2. I'm going to go Command A. I'm going to select all the type. This one doesn't have any indents or anything funny, so I'm just going to select all the type. And I might as well do all the type the same way first and then go back and set the chart. Okay, on this one, it's Bembo, regular, 12 on 13. On the leading here, like the brackets, you see the brackets? That's the auto setting right there. That's the auto setting. Rarely do I use auto. So 12 on 13. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the chart, and then last thing I'll do is I'll put in the actual picture. So I'm going to blow the chart up here. It's the hard part of the document sometimes. I'm going to take the chart. I should, first of all, I'm sorry, I should, first before we do that, I should do the indent on the first line indent, 0.25. The only problem is on the chart, I have to go and remove the first line indent. So I'm going to select the whole chart and make the indent 0 right there. First line indent, 0. That way it pulls it back. Now it says that the chart is Helvetica 9 on 11. So I'll go Helvetica. Just Helvetica LT Standard Roman, I guess. And 9 points on 11 points of leading. To break the chart away a bit though, I'm going to grab this first line and I'm going to put space before. Space before is right here. Space after is here. So space before, you can see the little dark drawing of it. It says that the space before is 0.15. And that puts some space right in here above. Then I'm going to grab the last line and put space after a 0.15. And that way we set our chart aside. I'm going to take this first line and make it bold. Regular bold. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and do the tab. Now, right now, you can see the tab characters, and there's no extra ones or anything. You'd want to check all that first to make sure you have one tab between everything. But on this one, I've made sure that it's all perfect before it came in. I'm going to grab this. I don't even need to grab all of it. I could grab just this portion because settings for tab is always done on an entire paragraph, so it doesn't matter which portion of the paragraph you grab. Go up here under type and you go to tabs. In this program, the tab ruler, unlike Microsoft Word where the tab ruler is this ruler up here, this has a separate tab ruler. You can see that I can size this tab ruler in and out. Be careful though, it can move like this. You want to make sure that that 0 mark is here. And you could use it over here, but I always try to line it up just to make life easier for myself. In this instance, decimal tabs is what I require, so I'm going to go in here and get the decimal tab. And I'm simply going to start on the ruler and put the first one in. You can see that I'm controlling this line right here. Remember that when you're doing tabs, you're actually controlling vertical, not horizontal. So you got to stop thinking horizontal and think vertically. Also, you'll notice when I do this, I, again, never ever undo the type, like never ever deselect the type. I just look at it from here. That looks pretty good. Then I'm going to get the first line. As I said, I could select any portion of the first line. And here I might as well use center tabs because I want to center it over each of the columns. Oh, wrong tab. Well, to change that, all I have to do is go and click on that, and now I have a center tab. With the tab selected, click on the center tab. Well, there we go. Chart all done. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Now, I'm going to go and make my next text box. Or I'm sorry, my next graphic box, one with the extra graphics box. And I'm going to size that graphic box to 1.5 by 1.875. There we go. I'm going to place into that box the cruise ship. Again, too large, same concept. Go get the first tool, get the first tool over here, selection tool. Click out, click into the box, and then when you click here, look at there's the entire thing. We want the brown line. With the brown line selected, I'm going to put in the sizing, which is 67 in this instance, and move it into the middle. Now there is some shortcuts later on for that, but you might as well learn the movement at this point. On this one, you notice that I keep clicking out and then clicking here. I want to get rid of the brown line. I'm going to move it right here, and in this instance, I'm just going to move it up so it's kind of right there. In this instance, I just want to use the second wrap around the bounding box. That's all we need to do there. And the last one is a little graphics line down the middle of the page, just to separate the two stories. Oh, sorry, I'll zoom out a little bit and roll that up. I'm going to just draw a graphic line. So I'm going to go here, grab a line. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, go in the middle of these two, and draw a line straight down, holding the Shift key down. And that is going to be a 1 point line. Well, that was the default, so it automatically set to 1 point. Zoom out the page, and there's only one last thing to do. We have to put in a screen on this. The screen is pretty tricky. It's in the swatches area that makes it difficult. This one with the line through it, this is fill, but if you'll notice, if you move this slightly, it says stroke. Whatever one is forward, you can see that the little black line is going over top of the white area. That would be the stroke, and you can see that that's black. If I click on the other little box, which is fill, you'll notice that that is none right now. What I'm going to do is with the fill forward, I'm going to fill it with black. And then I'm going to go under tint and say 15%. In other words, only 15% of the dots in this area are going to be filled with black, which will make it look like a gray. Okay, I'm going to turn off my hidden characters. I'm going to hide the hidden characters. Click here. I'm going to click in the blank area. I'm going to hit W on the keyboard, and it looks like we did it. So there it is, how to do this document using InDesign Creative Cloud. I'm Paul Dayball, Niagara College. I hope you enjoyed the presentation.